Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tom's Hardware Show. I'm Sharon, and it is December 17th, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which means it's time to kick things off live. So we're talking Cyberpunk mods and refunds today with some fantastic enthusiasts, so let's meet them. First is Keith Mitchell. You've seen his byline on tomshardware.com, and he's also editor-in-chief of gaming and geek culture website, The Outer Haven. How are you, Keith?
I'm a little tired right now because I was shoveling snow, but other than that, I'm good. Thanks for having me on today.
Awesome. Good luck with that snow. Hopefully, you did a good job, because I know my our editor-in-chief Avram, he said he had to shovel twice today. So did you get it done in one shot?
The good thing is we have 3 cars in the driveway, so that's less snow accumulating on the ground. So that's great. And there's enough snow out there that I can ambush my wife when she's not paying attention and hit her for a couple snowballs. So
there it is. Great. So we also have a pair of modders here who are going to give us a look at their cyberpunk-inspired builds. Stan Wiertelak, aka Tips, and Tim Malmborg, aka Timpelay. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. So both Stan and Tim have created jaw-dropping mods for the Cyberpunk 2077 Cyber Up Your PC contest. That was a collab between Alienware and CD Projekt Red. So these modders are going to give us a behind-the-scenes look at what went into their builds. I want to start with you, Stan, because the mod you created, the Militech Curvehead bot, actually took first place.
Yes, exactly. I'm surprised by that, to be honest, but it took first place.
So we have some footage, so let me try to get that going for you all. One moment. So you could take a look at that mod. So can you tell us what we're looking at here? What was the inspiration for this mod?
The base of the contest was that the design is not ours. It was made by Cyberpunk fans, and CD Projekt choose 5 designs and attach them to modders, and modders need to build a computer base not on our design. So it was a challenge for us. I think, Tim, it was a challenge for you too, because you got very complicated one to build, to be honest. So it was designed by a guy named Martin, and it's inspired by robot in a game that you can buy as a stolen tech. And I wanted to give to this design something that is a little bit me. This is why we have moving legs, and the legs are programmed by Arduino, so you can program all of the movements, and you can program even some emotes that the robot can do.
Cool. So that's a separate software control that controls the legs?
Yeah, it's a dedicated board you connect by USB to PC, and you can program all of the servos. It has 24 outputs, so a lot of servo in that one build.
So can you tell us a bit about, the components and the tools you used for this build?
There is one specific thing that we were judged upon. It was recycled materials, because it's future and the cyberpunk style. So CD Projekt wanted us to use a lot of recycled materials. So if you look on the PC, the main part on the left and right side, like the armor, it's old furniture, cut and painted black. A lot of parts was created on a 3D printer, and it was my first time using 3D printer for a build, so it was a little bit challenging to get everything connected together and working together, because it's not usually to put moving parts in a PC. And I know there is a lot of people who are very talented in this stuff, but for me it was first time using servos, first time using Arduino in a PC build, and first time using 3D printer. So almost everything was a challenge. But when it comes to details and weathering, it's like my favorite part of build. So all the paintings you can see is done with aerograph. It's handmade. It's not a stencil. Everything that should look like a sprayed on stuff is sprayed on with aerograph. And most of the pieces for the PC is painted and weathered by my wife, and we work together in my workshop. So it's like a team competition who will make better parts for a computer.
I'm kind of envious that you got your wife to help you. That's pretty cool.
I'm really lucky that she likes to do stuff with me in my workshop, because it's like I go to my workshop for like 10 hours and she is, I will join you, I help you something. So she is not mad I'm not at home.
So we have some photos of, when you were working on the build, just to give people a look at all of the work that went into this. Mamma mia. So how long did this take you? Total?
We got like 1 month, Tim. Am I right?
Yeah.
We got only 1 month to build a PC.
Wow.
And you can see on the photos here, there's a lot of stuff is 3D printed, like the legs and some details. But the main pieces, the armor pieces, are taken from old furniture. It's like a particle board, only with some paint on it.
So what do you think, Keith? Does this make you want to play Cyberpunk right now?
That is a loaded question. I will say I do like that mod. I really like that. When I first saw it, I got the without playing Cyberpunk, I got the visions of Cyberpunk themed spider bots, like something you would see in a good example would be Ghost in the Shell, because I'm a big Ghost in the Shell fan. So I watch a lot of Cyberpunk themed shows, and yeah, that looks fantastic. And the fact that the legs move and they articulate, that's really amazing.
I need to tell you that if you've seen it like in real life, it's very unsettling, the moving legs. And everybody who visited my workshop and saw it was like, okay, it's nice, but if it will not be here in the morning, I'm going to move out. Just like,
it's pretty cool, but yeah, I'd rather not be next to it. Thanks, bye.
So I'm curious, Stan, because you said, getting these moving parts was a big challenge for you. I'm curious, Tim, have you worked with a build before where you had to incorporate moving parts or wanted to incorporate moving parts?
I've been thinking of it, but more like use the moving parts as make the build modular, if you know what I mean. You can move things around, but not to actually do something like this, that it sits on your table and shakes its legs. So nothing like this.
So I'm curious, Dan, because like you said, you were kind of bringing someone else's idea for a build to life. Is that something you've done before? Tried to create a mod out of something that somebody else has kind of parted out for you?
Yeah, a few times. We have with NVIDIA in Poland, we make a competition every few months where people send the designs and we choose one and I build it. Sometimes I build it with the person who designed it. He's helping or something like that. But here it was a little bit different because when we make competition in Poland, I can choose the design I want to build. And here we were able to say, okay, I like this one, so maybe I want to build that one. But in the end, the designs were given to us, so we don't have a choice what we're going to build. I'm really grateful that I get this one because it was my first choice. A little bit because of the Ghost in the Shell vibe. I love it. I love the anime. So it was really challenging and difficult for me because it's not my style, to be honest. It was something completely new. So I have some experience building other people projects, but not on this scale.
Since you said you like Ghost in the Shell, let me ask you just real quick. What's your favorite series out of the entire Ghost in the Shell?
Out of the entire... Oh, it's so difficult question, to be honest.
That's why I asked you.
To be completely honest, for now, at this moment, I'm biggest fan of the movie, the live action movie, because a lot of people criticize it. I know it's not exactly to the canon and all of that, but when you sit down in front of a big, good quality TV, the world that they created on a screen is exactly what I imagine reading manga. So right now, I will say the best Go in the Share is the live action movie. I know a lot of people will criticize me for that, but it's really great piece of movie work.
No, it was. Outside of the casting, I mean, the world was amazing. You're right. It was spot on.
It was like
I've never
like
seen
all the
a good
details,
live
everything.
action manga movie. So I've never seen a good live action anime or manga movie before. I've seen the Death Note movie. I've seen the Dragon Ball Z movie. I've seen some bad.
Yeah.
I've seen the bad ones. It's good to hear there might be a good one out there.
It's okay. It's okay. You need to swallow some hard pills, to be honest, with casting. But
Yeah.
it's really nice to see the style not being lost to like a Hollywood people making stuff, because most of the movies, in my opinion, most of the movies from anime, from like games or something like that, lose a lot of details because of the Hollywood need to produce it in a specific way. It was like with World of Warcraft. It's like gigantic world, great lore, and the movie is meh. It's okay, it's not bad, but it can be like epic. When you watch Blizzard cinematic trailers, you always like, I want a movie like that.
Exactly.
Like 1 hour exactly movie. And we get the movie, and the movie was like, it's okay. It's not bad, it's just okay.
We want the actual CGI rendered movie. We don't want this live action stuff. You can keep that in Hollywood. We don't want that. We want this. But I will say,
Exactly.
Sharon, if you haven't seen at least Speed Racer and Sonic, I hold those two of the best manga, anime, adapted movies and video game movies of all time. Speed Racer was pretty decent.
I haven't seen Speed Racer, but I've seen Sonic, and I think Sonic is really good.
Sonic is awesome. Speed Racer.
Yeah, and I like the way in Sonic they just, I don't know how to say it, they just make stuff like in the game. I haven't think about like the reality of anything. It's just like you have a hedgehog that running very fast in the world.
So it is actually good. I haven't like I'm afraid of watching it.
Because you love Sonic?
Yeah, because I love Sonic. So
as a big Sonic fan, go see it. Go watch it.
Yeah.
So a little bit of backstory real quick is when they originally brought out the movie, they showed the model and it was horrendous. Yep. The entire game industry was like, no, send this back. And they took it back and they came back and it was like, yes, this is the Sonic that we want. Good job. And they made a great movie after that. It was great.
Oh, nice.
So you gotta listen to the viewer complaints.
I love it.
Wow. So, Stan, let me ask you real quick. So regarding your mod, the Curvebot, where is that now? Is it still together? Is it a working PC? What's the deal?
It's a working PC. I took all of the PC parts out of it because I want to make it a prop in my workshop. So right now it's in pieces because I need to fix some problems I got. Because let's be honest, not all the moving parts in this robot works as they were intended to. It was like 80% of it. So I'm just doing some hot fixes and stuff like that, and I want to display it in my workshop. We have a crazy idea to put it on a ceiling, so people will be like, "Oh, what is this?" Ah,
yeah.
So maybe
awesome.
You just said that they don't want to see it. Now you can put it on the ceiling.
You should have it like descend down, like have some sort of pulley system where it could drop.
It's down. Like my friend idea to have it like going down the rope like a big spider. Maybe one day, but for now I just want to make it presentable without the parts of a PC inside, because I want to build something different from those parts.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a very unique build. So for any of the viewers watching now, if you have any questions for Stan, he's going to be hanging on with us. Questions about his build, modding life, maybe even Ghost in the Shell, I don't know. Drop them in and we'll try to get through them by the end of the show. So I do want to also kick things over to Tim because he also has a super cool build. Let me see if I could get some footage up here. The build is called the Bondi's Throne. Tim, can you just give us a run through of the inspiration here while I load some footage?
So as Stan said, there was designers that actually made the designs for us. So I was handed this Bondi's throne, which is quite different to the other designs, and that's because it is a throne. So it is basically a chair with a PC inside and some screen and keyboard devices for like input and stuff. So this is a really large piece. You can see the PC inside, which is like stripped down. The Alienware PC is stripped down to fit in there. And then I actually made this entire throne out of MDF board. The design is supposed to be steel, but obviously I could not build it in steel because it would be like, too heavy. It is very heavy at the moment as well. So
Do you know how much it weighs?
Sorry?
You know how much it weighs?
No, I don't know. but it's actually hard to move it yourself, and it's large, so I can't move it from one room to another without taking it apart. So but the thing is that I wanted to replicate the steel structure, and doing that with paint and scratches and stuff. So I made this with the jigsaw and like a hand router, because I don't have the tools to like CNC the whole thing. So I made it all in small parts and screwed it all together. So the original design actually have the chair integrated in the frame, but as we only had 1 month to build this thing, I actually asked can I use actual chair and then build a frame around it. So that's why you can see a chair in it. And well, my idea was to use recycled materials in a way that they make sense, like actual parts of the structure. So the leg rest or the footrest that you see is actually made out of 2 PSU shrouds and hard disk trays. And then I integrated the Alienware front IO panel in that leg rest. And
which is amazing. Can I just say there's an eye opener on the leg rest?
So it's actually everything is working and is connected to the PC inside, and the RGB is controlled by the software that's like it's supposed to. And I used more materials. Let's see, you see the armrests is made out of tempered glass that also came from a deep cool case, I think. And then I replicated the back piece where you see the Alienware illuminated logo, because the Aurora case has this Alienware logo on the side, and I tried to replicate that on the back of this throne instead of just not using it. So I think you can see it soon.
Yeah, we're going through.
So there is the front IO and the PSU shrouds that I used. So yeah, a noble chair.
So I need to ask you, how comfortable is this computer?
It is really comfortable. It is. It's slightly laid back, and you can just sit in it and enjoy.
What do you think, Keith? Any room for this in your own gaming den?
Not up here, but the one I'm working on downstairs, definitely. I think it would actually fit in quite perfectly. But then again, the problem is, if I had something like this, my son would take over, and I would never get it back. Never. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you see a wireless keyboard. I used 17-inch screen to put on the one armrest.
I like how you have the USB in the back and the headrest.
Yeah. Yeah, that is like top panel from a Cooler Master case or something.
So in
So-
terms of internal PC components, did you all have to use the same
Yeah, we did.
GPU, SSD, etc.?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
the
got
same
exactly the same PC to start with. It was with Ryzen 3900, as I remember.
Yep.
Non-X version because it's for OEM partners, and 2080 Ti Cyberpunk edition. Tim, you have a box behind you.
Yep.
I believe it's like the rarest GPU in the world right now.
This is so for you, Tim, what was the hardest part of this build? It looks like, gosh, there's just so much going on. I wonder.
Yeah, actually fabricating it, because when I got the design, I didn't choose the design. This was my last choice actually, because I thought it would be too much of a challenge for me to actually build it in 1 month. So when it was handed to me, I just thought, how will I be able to build this with the tools and the experience that I have? So I started, as I said, working with a 3D model, because I had to model it with the materials that I was going to use. So the MDF board in 60 millimeters, I think. So I modeled the entire thing and then started printing like blueprints for it. So I could actually cut the thing out from raw material. So that was my biggest concern, was to be able to build it in time, and actually get it together and look anything like the design that I was handed.
Yeah, that seems like an interesting challenge for you pro modders, because you get often, I see like these deadlines. Maybe you have to do it for a certain show or an event like this, and you only have like a month, like you guys just said. But nobody knows that when we look at your mods. We just see your name next to it and the mod itself, and we're like, we either love it or we don't like it. So that must be a lot of pressure for you guys.
Tight
Yeah,
schedules are always in this
Yeah, it is.
segment of
it is.
work.
And
Always.
And the important thing is when you talk to a mother and they say, "Oh, I got a month to build this." For me, I have a full-time job, so actually a month is evenings and nights and weekends. So it's not a month like full-time, which
Right.
makes it even harder.
So we have one viewer wanting to know, are these for sale? I'm thinking, unfortunately, no, but that would be
No, it's not for sale, but I can build another one. Let's say it like that.
yeah, it'll just take another month of nightly work, I guess. Huh?
Maybe like 2 months this time.
I think we both can agree that we will take them to like exhibitions and stuff for
Yes,
like rent, maybe.
It should be on EM in Poland, like Interactive Masters final, but coronavirus just changed all of it. And to be honest, this is the saddest part of it, because we should be revealing the mods in a CD Projekt headquarters, not online, but coronavirus just put an end to all of it here in Poland. So, but we will show it most definitely on some exhibitions.
Yeah, great. I would love for these to continue having more life, because they're so amazing. I mean, I look at mods all the time. I have seen some cool legs before, never moving like that. I've seen very large mods before, never one that I could actually like sit in and spend the night in. So these are super cool. Tim, I wanted to ask you quickly. I see, because there's like you said, a wireless keyboard in there. Is that a specific model? It looks like a cooler. It looks like a cooler
Master, the SK651, maybe, is it? No, 671. 671.
Was that part of the challenge, or did you decide to incorporate that on your own?
I incorporated that on my own. The design actually had 2 small screens, but I thought I would like add a little bit of my own to the mod. So I used the keyboard instead and put a larger screen on the other side instead. So that was part of my idea.
Very cool. Well, if you have any questions for Tim on his super cool mod, definitely drop your question into the chat on YouTube or Facebook, and we'll try to get into it. In the meantime, of course, Cyberpunk 2077 is finally here, but not everyone is getting the experience they want. A refund sounds like a simple solution, but if you've been following the news or trying to get a refund of your own, you know the situation is far from simple. Keith has been covering this for us on Tom's Hardware. Can you give us a rundown?
Where do you want to start? So let's talk about the whole status of Cyberpunk 2077. And to be completely honest, the game isn't a bad game. It does have its fair share of glitches and issues. If you're playing on a capable hardware like a decent equipped PC, or even, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Google Stadia, you can play it. Xbox One X, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S also play it decently. The problem is when you come down to the base PlayStation 4 and Xbox One consoles, they simply cannot run the game. And when I say they can't run the game, like, you got a baseline of 30 frames per second.
Oh.
At any given time during any particular sequence, it will drop from 30 frames to 25 frames to 20 frames to 15 frames per second, and being completely unplayable at times, to the point where people can't play the game and they're like, all right, what do you want me to do with this? Meanwhile, you got CD Projekt Red going, oh, this game is perfectly playable on these consoles. You're fine. It works fine. Fast forward to release, and they're like, maybe we didn't spend enough time on these things like we said we should have. Delayed the game how many times? You said it was fine, and now it's not fine. So obviously, consumers are upset. We've got multiple sides of the spectrum here. We've got people who had early access to the game on PC because they weren't giving out a console version access, and they rated the PC version pretty high because, again, the PC version is decent. And then it comes out, and I actually got a code for the PlayStation 4, and I played it on the PlayStation 4, and I went, wow, this is not good. So then I started talking to some of my other teammates over at Data Haven, and they were like, yeah, this game doesn't play too well on any of the Xbox Ones or PlayStation 4s, but when we played on PC, it was great. So CD Projekt Red came out and was like, hey, we know you don't like the state of the game. We apologize. We dropped the ball. We're going to make it right. We've got 2 big updates coming in January and February. But if you don't want to wait, you can go to Microsoft and PlayStation, or Xbox and PlayStation, and get a refund. And while they're saying it, everybody's like, oh, okay, cool. So it's a done deal. We just go there and say, hey, this game's garbage. Give us back our money. No, that's not what happened, actually, because they didn't talk to Microsoft and they didn't talk to Sony. So before they made this announcement, some people were going back to both the companies, and some were getting turned away, some were getting their money back. But then once they made the official announcement, Sony was like, no, stop. Just stop. We're not giving back anybody's money. They need to wait for the updates. Whatever you did, it's not our fault. Stop telling people to come to us. I guess Microsoft was still a little more lenient because their return policy is a little more lenient than Sony. Sony, for those who don't know, is the moment you download the game to your PlayStation, it's over. You are not eligible for a refund. They do not care. Sony is notorious for having a terrible return policy. They have had it for years. People have complained about it for years, and they've done nothing about it. Microsoft, again, is a little more lenient. So where we're at right now is those who have the PlayStation version of the game are pretty much stuck. They either have to wait for the update or sit on it, use it as a coaster. If they download it, sorry, you just can't play the game anymore. You can stomach it, but yeah. And then more and more people are coming out saying, hey, I can't get a refund. This game is terrible. Digital Foundry, those wizards that they are, that do great analysis on games, did an analysis on the PlayStation side of things and the Xbox side of things, and they showed the PlayStation 4 version, and we saw how bad it got. And then they showed the Xbox One version, and it was worse. It was just so bad.
Is it really so bad? Because I haven't played it on a PlayStation, so...
The Xbox version dropped to 15 frames per second. So the running joke right now is, you wanted 30 frames per second. You didn't want 1 frame at 30 seconds.
No, I don't.
So, yeah, the whole situation is that CD Projekt Red, misled the consumers. They purposely held back the console version of the game. They didn't show anybody the console version of the game. When people asked about the console version of the game, they simply said, hey, it's good, don't worry about it, and then we get to hear. So the company has lost a lot of faith right now. They're in damage control mode, but right now nobody wants to give them the benefit of the doubt. And it's a shame because this was a very a company that had a great reputation when it came to games. Witcher, phenomenal series. They came out, they knocked out the park. When there were issues, they fixed them. They were very transparent with the consumers, and everybody loved them. But as you see, it only takes one big mistake, or in this case, several big mistakes for the community to go, no, we don't trust you anymore. And that's unfortunately what just happened here. They withheld information. They withheld the actual version of the game for reviewers, which was really odd. Everybody was like, "Where's the console version?" And we never got it. And then they went back and told everybody go get refunds from Sony and Microsoft, and without having any kind of agreement in place. So, yeah, their goodwill is pretty much done. I'm at the point where I saw a guy at Best Buy the other day buying a copy for PlayStation. And I was like,
No.
don't let that guy buy the game. But at the end of the day, I might be a gaming journalist, and I talk about this, I'm passionate about this, but at the end of the day, I can only guide you. It's not my job to say, buy this or don't buy this. I can only present you with the facts and information, and if you still want to buy it, that's up to you. I can't stop you.
Of course.
But don't buy it. Don't buy it. Don't buy it.
It's very sad to hear it because, I'm from Poland and CD Projekt is like Polish company. And I even work a little bit with them on a Witcher 2. It's very sad to hear it. They make so big mistake because it was easy to avoid it. They just shouldn't let out the PS4 and Xbox version right now. They should make it like Grand Theft Auto. Wait for your line to get like a working copy because it's not so hard to think about how bad it look and how bad it will be with people when they get so like terrible. Because I Googled some video on PlayStation 4. It's terrible. It's not bad. It's like I play on a 3080 RTX, so seeing that
you've got textures,
you've got no problems.
You've got low frame rates. I mean, here's how I feel about it. As following gaming for so long, there have been multiple major games that were announced for platforms, and then they get so far in the development cycle where they go, you know what, maybe this platform isn't viable anymore. Maybe we should just can it. And it would have made more sense for them to just do that. A good example is Watch Dogs. Same exact thing. When Watch Dogs was coming out, it was cross-gen for Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. And Ubisoft decided to keep going with it. And when it came out, it was terrible. It was pretty much the same situation, but they were a little more transparent. What they should have did here is say, hey, these versions aren't running well. Can it? Simply can it. Because as much as they're saying they're going to get it running at a decent level, they also said, hey, it's not going to run like next gen. So right there, it's basically saying we're going to do what we can, but don't expect a miracle. They should have just canned it, released it for the Xbox Series consoles and the PlayStation 5 consoles, and just washed their hands of it. Yes, they would have made people mad, but they would have been transparent, and they would have had more understanding that they had to do this, because we'd rather give you a superior game than give you an inferior game like we just did and have you all mad at us.
Well, let me devil's advocate this a little bit. Do you think at all there's a responsibility to Sony and Microsoft before they say, hey, this is a PS4 game, this is an Xbox One game, to check that these games actually have, provide the experience that people expect from their consoles? Because that's part of why people buy consoles, so they don't have to deal with the technical issues and compatibility issues that you might have to work out with, your own build or a gaming PC. So how much responsibility do you think, Sony and Microsoft should take to making sure games that they say run on their consoles actually run acceptably on their consoles?
So the thing with that is, that's actually a good question, and we actually checked on this years ago for other games, and it's a common misconception that when a game is released, that Microsoft and Sony or whoever, the platform owners, look at these games, and they don't. It is not their responsibility. All they have to do is allow the game, certify the game, and the quality control and the testing is all up to the developer. That's it. we've had hundreds of games that came out that looked like crap, ran like crap, riddled with bugs, and they weren't big blockbuster games. So it was like, oh, well, they just made a bad game. Who cares? But because this is a AAA game that's been hyped up for, and I have to get the record straight or somebody's going to kill me, was hyped up for 8 years, but only has been in development for 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I disagree with that approach. Like, I think these are big companies. These are big consoles. They're literally trying to get you to buy new consoles right now. I feel like companies like Microsoft and Sony. I mean, I guess maybe I'm thinking too small, like, of the amount of work that requires for those.
Yeah, that's a monumental amount of work because.
But they're Microsoft and Sony. They're big.
But they're big companies, but
they
not.
Do it.
Go ahead.
They do it for their own launch titles, so they spend a lot of time to have great games for the console, and interfere with like a big company like CD Projekt. It's just a waste of time for them, to be honest.
I mean, it comes down to you're responsible for your house. If this is your baby, you should have the principles to make sure that this is the best that it can be. And not all developers, unfortunately, are like that. The problem that I really have with this entire situation is in that press conference, they literally said, we knew this went against our business philosophy, but we did it ourselves. So we had principles and we violated those principles and we affected our consumers and we didn't care. That bothers me. That bothers me to no extent.
Keith, do you think it is possible that the shortage of the new console is one part of this? That they pushed it for the old consoles?
So, a big thing about CD Projekt Red is, and I don't think a lot of people are familiar with this, they are a PC specific company. They're PC first, console second. They've always been this way. And that is one of the reasons why I really love them, because when you think about games in the gaming space, it's usually console first, then ported to the PC. But it's not the same for them. And they admit it, they worked more on the PC version and the next gen version. And I don't want to say that the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions were afterthoughts. I just don't think they realized that those consoles were so underpowered that it wouldn't handle the game properly. Now, I've seen multiple arguments, people saying the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are underpowered. It's like, yeah, they really are. If you think about the hardware, they're vastly underpowered. But the developers then dealt with the hardware. You had some that got very familiar with the hardware and did miracles. A great example is the Nintendo Switch. We all know how underpowered that console is, but Nintendo works miracles with that console. They make great games, great running games. So when you know hardware, you know the ins and outs and how to make something work. And the example with this, they focused their time on the PC version and the next-gen versions. They didn't focus enough, and I'm not a developer, so I can't say they didn't do anything. I don't think they focused enough on what these consoles needed, and they were too busy working on the next gen and then the PC versions. To answer your question for the new consoles, even if we weren't in a shortage, even if we weren't fighting the botters, right now, specifically right now, we're in a pandemic. So there are people who can't afford a new console or aren't even thinking about a new console. And it's not fair for Microsoft and or Sony if they would have came out and said, hey, you want to run this game the best it can be, buy our new stuff. While you might have an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 and you're just trying to keep playing games with what you have. I get they want to upsell, but between fighting the botters, which is another issue I have.
Right, yeah, we've talked about that a lot.
The pandemic where people are losing their houses and their homes and can't afford anything because they don't have the job because of COVID, or just the fact that some people just don't want to spend $500 on a gaming console. It's just, the pricing is just out there. I get it. Being part of the industry, I understand how it works, but everybody's at a different level. Everybody's at a different tier. So I don't think the console shortage is part of the issue, but it definitely does contribute to it. I definitely think that.
So I'm curious because I personally think I think this is an issue with a lot of software, whether it be,
To be honest, I really want to find some.
Yes, in? You said you wanted to find some. Did we lose him?
No, he's still there.
Yeah, I really try to find some positive stuff to say about CD Projekt in this manner, in this specific topic. And I can't, to be honest, because they knew how it looked, they knew how it worked. They should simply don't release the game on PS4 and Xbox One X. They should say it's not ready. You will get it like in 3 months. But I have a thought. Is it natural that all small developers that grow a lot of trust from people, from the fans, will always fail? It's like we've seen it with Naughty Dog, we've seen it with Take-Two, we've seen it with a lot of developers that came out as a small developer and then make something completely, focus on money, and lost a lot of respect from the players. Because why they put it out only to sell it before Christmas? There is nothing more in it, just to sell more games for consoles.
So I guess the question for a lot of people right now is, which again, I think this is a problem with a lot of software. Like every time you update Windows or even like iOS on my phone, like I never want to be the first person to download or get new software because I feel like I want to let other people work out those bugs and get those patches and updates in. So I'm just curious what you, just like generally speaking, when you get buggy software, do you wait for those patches or do you guys typically just try to get a refund?
It depends. I majority play on PC, so when I play a game, it's usually on Steam, and if it's bad, like if I play it and it crashes, okay, I can forgive that software crashes. But if I'm playing it and I'm playing it on beefy hardware and I'm getting like low frame rates or I'm getting glitches, I spend about a good half an hour trying to troubleshoot. And if I can't fix it, it's refunded. It's done. You don't deserve my money. I'll wait until you put some patches into it. For console gaming, I'm in a different situation. I usually get sent stuff to review first. But if it's me buying games out of my own pocket, I usually will wait just to see, unless I know who's doing it. Like if I buy a Nintendo game from Nintendo, I know it's going to be quality. Again, like when he just mentioned, usually when I bought a game from CD Projekt Red, like The Witcher, I knew it was quality. I will say
still have faith it'll be quality. They have patches in January, right? And February, patch 1 and patch 2.
I have faith in them, but the problem is you dropped the ball and you weren't upfront about it. And the problem I have with all this is I feel bad for the developers, because these are the guys who put their heart and soul into the game. They weren't the ones who said push the game out now. I bet you if you talk to any developers, they will say we wanted to delay it again. But at the end of the day, when you have a big game like this, you're at the mercy of the management and you're at the mercy of the investors. They run that. It's a big difference than a company like Supergiant Games. Great example. They're still an indie developer. They put out Hades. Hades has been in development beta for months. They put out updates. They keep telling you, hey, we're working on this. We got this. We're doing this. We're doing this. We're doing this. And then what did they do? They put out a fantastic game because they were transparent. They kept telling you what was going on, and they delayed it for as long as they needed to make the game as good as it can be. So it's always a money game too, and it hurts.
Of course. It's like baking cookies. You spend a lot of time making the cookies and you're so excited to give it to everyone. But when you take it out of the oven, like it's still kind of moist. It needs to like settle a bit.
Yeah, you gotta wait.
Give it time, and you gotta try it. You gotta eat the first cookie before you give it to your friends. You gotta make sure. So yeah, it's unfortunate. I haven't actually played the game. Like I said, I don't go for new software or new games upon launch, but it still looks pretty cool. I'm still hopeful in the new year it'll be a fun time. But yeah, this is sad to see, especially at this time when everyone's pushing the new consoles. So
like I said, if you are playing it on a new console, the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and the Xbox One are enough, or Xbox One X are enough to brute force the game. And again, those games on the newer consoles aren't running the next gen version of the game because they were supposed to be out first quarter of 2021, but now that's going to get pushed back so they can continue to work on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions.
Well, at least the one thing you could say about this launch is the game was, at least it was available. It wasn't like the
I wish they would have delayed it. There was really no rush. You've delayed it 4 times. Just delay it again. We're good. We're used to this. I'm in a position where if a game needs to be delayed because you want to make it good, then delay it. Please, just do it.
Awesome. Well, not so awesome, but Keith, thank you so much for giving us a run through. Keith has been covering this for us on tomshardware.com, so stay tuned to the site to keep updated on the game, the patches, the refunds, how to go about getting one if you want one. It seems like it kind of changes almost every day.
Looks like that window is closing because that email address they set up closes on Monday.
Okay, yeah. So get on it. If you got to decide, are you going to wait it out or do you want your money back? So tough decisions coming up. But Keith, thank you so much for giving us that run down. And a huge thanks to our guest. So Stan, aka Tips, thank you so much for coming by. Is there anywhere people can go to, stay caught up with your next project?
Yes, on my Instagram, tips_pl. And on Twitch, exactly the same tips_pl, and you can find all of it. You can just put Staszek Tips Wiertelak in Google and you will find it.
Yes, Google knows all. And of course,
if it works.
And of course, Tim, aka Timpelay, thank you so much for your time. How can people keep up with what you're up to?
I'm Timpelay everywhere, so Instagram, Facebook, and actually timpelay.se. My own website as well, so that's where you find me.
Awesome. So to all our viewers, if you've had a good time, show us some love by liking Tom's Hardware on Facebook, liking our videos on YouTube, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can also download each episode of the Tom's Hardware Show as a podcast. And I've got to say, this may be our last show of the year. Sometimes we do go live with you guys if there's some breaking news in the industry, but this should be our last scheduled Thursday show of the year. So thank you to everyone who's tuned in. I know everyone at Tom's Hardware wishes you all an amazing holiday season. Definitely stay tuned to tomshardware.com for more news and reviews every day. The website never sleeps, like literally never. Try to get these people to sleep. They won't do it. So definitely keep your eyes on the site, and we will definitely be back here with the Tom's Hardware Show in 2021. See you then.